Thanks, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of In the Balance. I'm Corinne McKay, and in this series, we're talking about how to achieve the goals of fulfillment right now and no regrets, or as few regrets as possible in the future. Thanks so much to everyone who commented on the previous episode, and also to everybody who was at last week's ATA conference in Miami. It was great to see a lot of old friends and meet new people, and it was an excellent week. As promised, in this episode, we're going to be talking about how to be a better freelancing parent, spouse, partner, or for that matter, son, daughter, roommate, friend. So I think the people who are closest to us get a lot of the benefits of us being freelancers. We are generally around more and have more flexible schedules than people who have traditional jobs. But I think most of us also really enjoy our work. So we don't bog our loved ones down with whining and complaining about how awful our day was. But the people close to us also bear the brunt of our irregular schedules, crazy deadlines, projects that go crazy with no warning, and so on. So I have a tip for parents, one for spouses, and 2 tips for everybody, and then a little bonus tip at the end. So tip 1, just for parents. Accept that you cannot be a full-time parent and a full-time freelancer if you want to remain sane or happy. You have to either have time when you're not responsible for your kids, when they're with a babysitter or at school or at camp. My daughter's 13 and we still do summer camps, or you have to cut back on how much you work. And I think on that spectrum, there are lots of ways to be a good parent. And if you're not happy, it's likely that your kids are not happy either. So whether your choice is to work less or to use more childcare, I think either of those will work out. But just make sure that you are actively choosing one of those and not trying to do the impossible task of being a full-time parent and a full-time translator, because both your kids and your clients really need you. Tip 2, just for spouses, partners, roommates, friends. Think carefully before you have your spouse or partner do unpaid work for you. This can work out great, or it can be kind of a disaster. So, for example, when I wrote my first book, my husband wasn't working, and coincidentally, he went to school for creative writing, so he is a great editor. And he also had the time to do the book layout and the cover, when I had neither the time to do it myself nor the money to hire someone, which is what I do now. It was perfect, really. But flash forward about 6 or 7 years, and my husband, who by then had gone back to work in IT, was also my tech support person, and that was not good. He'd come home from doing computer work all day, and then I'd be bugging him for computer help, or it would be really frustrating when he didn't do things fast enough. And I just decided this isn't worth it. I need to learn more about my tech setup so that I don't have to rely on him. So if your spouse or partner is a web designer, an editor, a marketing person, it can work out great, but it can be a real drain on your relationship too. So make sure that you consider the pluses and the minuses before you put them to work for you for free. Tip 3 for everybody: have predictable times when you are not working. By this, I don't mean stick to a regular schedule, because I think all of us would like to do that, but the regular schedule is kind of out the window by about 8:15 a.m., right? So what I mean is that you need some regular time slots when you are almost never working, so that if the people close to you want to spend time with you or talk to you about something, they know that they can do it at those times. So, for example, for me, that would be weeknight dinners. My family always cooks a real dinner and we eat together, and we don't have phones or computers at the table. And I almost never work on weekends. So on weekdays, my schedule is a little crazy. Often I leave early and I end up working in the evening at home. But I really try to preserve those dinner and weekend times so that my family know that I won't constantly be saying, I can't do that because I have to work. Tip 4 for everybody: let the people in your life have their own feelings about your job and about their jobs. So most of us, I think, are really enthusiastic about our jobs and our businesses, but we shouldn't force that on the other people in our lives. So for example, I mentioned my husband works in IT, and what he wants out of a job is that it's not unpleasant, that he makes some money, and that it doesn't get in the way of his non-work interests like riding his mountain bike or skiing. And I used to feel kind of conflicted about that because to me, my job is way more than that. It's fulfilling, it's meaningful, and it makes me happy. I honestly love working. But finally, I thought, you know what? The only thing that I need out of my husband's job is for him to not complain about it, which he doesn't, and for him to make some money, which he does. So I try not to force my attitude about work onto him, and that works out pretty well. Okay, here's a bonus tip for everyone. So when you tell the special people in your life what they mean to you, what you appreciate about them, be specific about it. So I think all of us know that we should tell our special people we love them, we appreciate them, but I think it's really great to tell someone what they do for you that nobody else does. So recently I was telling my husband that in the 17 years we've been together, he has encouraged and supported every single crazy dream I ever had. And that's a lot of crazy dreams. Like, let's quit our jobs and buy one-way tickets to Singapore, which we did. Or I'm thinking of taking up the loot, which I did. So when you show your gratitude for the people who support you, do it in a way that's specific. So here you go. Don't try to be a full-time parent and a full-time translator. Think carefully about having your spouse or partner do unpaid work for you. Have predictable times when you are not working, and don't force your feelings about your job onto the other people in your life. Okay, audience participation time. Over to you. What are your best tips for being a better freelancing spouse, partner, parent, child, friend? I will look forward to reading those in the comments, and I'll be back in 2 weeks with episode 7 when we're going to talk about what all of this has to do with money and work-life balance back in 2 weeks, and I will see you then.